I the jerk for expecting more of my depressed, anxious sibling? I am the younger sister, 26 years old, to my older sister who is 28 years old. We are close and love each other, but come from a family where we hardly learn to communicate calmly or take care of ourselves. My sister has depression and anxiety, and it got really bad 5 years ago. She never wanted to get therapy. I have gotten therapy to deal with her and her depression over the years. I am her closest friend, and I have realized that I am exhausted of empathy from her confiding in me. She says she does not want to pay to talk to someone and that it is depressing that she has no one to talk to. She says, if you are not feeling good, imagine how I am feeling. In general, I repeatedly and clearly place boundaries with her, which she completely ignores, even when I explain that I am drained and resentful and devoid of empathy. Lately, we have been in a better place. She comes over to my apartment and stays for a while because she hates being at our parents' home and prefers being in the city. The latest event that triggered us was yesterday. We were sitting down and she was getting hungry at lunchtime. There were no ready groceries in the fridge, so she started complaining angrily and accusing me of never thinking ahead and planning for food. I got triggered because it is not true, and is it only my responsibility to feed us? I cooked fish and salad the previous night with no help from her, which is the usual. She rarely cooks and cleans at our parents' home where she lives, and she did not maintain healthy habits when she used to live alone. She usually orders fast food to feed herself. She wanted to order poke bowls, but it was $25 each, and she would not pay for my part. It was too expensive. When I go grocery shopping and I pay for both of our meals for the week, she is very comfortable eating free food that appears in the fridge. I know she was relying on me to cook as usual, so I asked, "Are you relying on me? What would you do if I wasn't here?" She said no, she is not relying on me. But then she asked, "What are we gonna eat?" She was looking at recipes and asked me what I would want to eat. I said chicken and veggies. She wanted pasta or burgers. We disagreed, and she got even more mad because I always just want chicken. We had fish and lentils before that. I was frustrated with her attitude and was giving her short replies. It escalated into a screaming match because apparently I was rude to her by not helping to figure out lunch. I am tired of doing all the work. I ended up doing the groceries by myself. She did do the dishes, which took 10 minutes, and I happily thanked her for it. But when I later asked for help with cooking, she called me ungrateful. She struggles with basic things, and I know it is hard with anxiety and depression. Am I the asshole here for resisting to give my all and expecting more of her? I think you are not in the wrong here. Stop letting her visit if she's blowing through your boundaries. It's not fair for her to expect you to do all the work and manage the mental load when she stays. If her anxiety and depression are bad enough to interfere with taking on responsibility, she needs professional help. Family support is important, but it doesn't replace proper care. Am I the jerk for not always giving my parents a call when I'm states away? I, a 20-year-old female, just went on my first vacation with my boyfriend, a 28-year-old male. My parents love and trust him. The vacation was in Florida, and I live in New York, so it's a good distance from home. My parents, both almost 60 years old, require 2 separate phone calls a day, one in the morning and one at night. Texts are not sufficient since they apparently do not receive them. They only want me to text if it is very early or very late at night. They want me to call them to ensure I am alive and okay. They want to know where I am and what I did that day or what I plan to do. When I was on vacation, I was a little annoyed with giving them these constant calls. It felt more like a chore than anything. My dad wanted a call before my flight, after my flight, and when I got settled in the hotel. If I forget, he will be mad at me. My mom is more relaxed, but my dad is a nightmare. I went to Universal Studios one of the days and forgot to call him. I got a text from my mom saying, "He's complaining that you haven't called." At the end of the day, he texted me, "Why is it so hard for you to take 30 seconds out of your day?" That day, I did not have my phone on me most of the time and had several missed calls from my dad, mom, and even grandmother. They all knew what I had going on. My dad was specifically upset with me. It made me feel terrible in the park. When I finally contacted my dad, he did not care about how my exciting day was. He just cared that I did not call. It feels like a power play. My dad is certainly more of the problem here. Yesterday was my last day of vacation. He called me 5 times for trivial reasons. He called to tell me he bought me a slice, to have me FaceTime our cat, and to reiterate how he's lonely. My sister is also on vacation and my mom was at work. Not that they get along though. I feel like the asshole on the days I decide to just not call. I feel annoyed that I need to do it since it feels so forced. I would do it willingly, but not at the rate my parents require. The calls sometimes are just 30 seconds or they can be around 5 minutes. It does not take too much time from my day, but it is something I feel I should not need to do so often. They will be sad or upset with me if I don't. So am I the asshole? I think you are not in the wrong here. As you're 20, it's time to start setting boundaries and deciding how often you want to text to check in. Maybe once a day or even every other day is enough. Here are some scripts you can use. We're spending all day at the beach, and I don't think my battery will hold up, so I'll only be calling if there's an emergency. Your parents will adjust to the new routine, even if it takes some time for them to get comfortable with it. Am I the jerk for telling my parents not to control me? Hello everyone, I am a 29-year-old woman, almost 30. It feels strange to use the word woman for myself when I still feel like a little girl being controlled. The last 3.5 years of my life have been significant as I received a very generous scholarship abroad to pursue a master's degree. Coming from a very religious, tight-knit family, I begged them to let me go and promised that it was only 3 years and that I would visit in the middle, which I did. I argued that such a degree would make my curriculum vitae much more attractive and increase my salary later. My father agreed, but my mother did not. I went abroad, got my master's degree, and experienced a sense of freedom and responsibility that I had never known before. After graduating, I applied for a work visa despite my parents' disagreement, and got it. However, I returned to my home country to see them first, as it had been 2 years since I last saw them. Now, they refused to let me leave again. I have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to live a better life with 10 times the salary I am currently earning. It is not only about the money, but also about the quality of life and the feeling of being out of place in my own country. They call me selfish for wanting to leave and accuse me of abandoning them. I even took a job that I hate to prove that it is not just about wanting to leave, but that my life can be better. I earn 1/4 of what I could earn working abroad, even with fewer hours. I am physically and mentally exhausted. I understand that my parents gave me their all while raising me, and that they want me to stay next to them. But what about what I want? What about my future? They think I am an inconsiderate person for wanting to leave. Am I? I have a younger sister, but her relationship with our parents is strained due to a big family issue. This makes them even harder on me, relying on me to take care of them and keep the peace in the family. Is that my role? I understand they love me, and I love them, but I am not getting any younger. Am I really selfish? Am I inconsiderate? Please help. I feel like there is a huge weight on my shoulders, and sometimes my heart feels so heavy that I can hardly breathe. Additionally, my father was ill and is doing a little better now, but they hold this against me since there was no one to take care of them while he was ill. You need to decide which is more important to you: obedience and acceptance from your controlling family, or living the life you want and need. Abusive parents will make you choose, but it is entirely your choice, and there is nothing wrong with choosing to meet your own needs first. It's not about leaving them behind. It's about creating a future that's fulfilling for you too. You're an adult now, and it's time they accept that. Am I the jerk for relying on my sibling while babysitting? I am an 18-year-old female who just graduated high school a few weeks ago. I have never had a job before, and now that I have graduated, I wanted to earn some money for experiences at community college. I asked my mother if she could help me find a job, and she suggested babysitting. I thought it would be easy. My mother's supervisor needed a babysitter for the summer because their daycare shut down. They have 2 sons, Cal, who is 10 years old, and Connie, who is 5 years old and autistic. They reassured me that Cal is very independent and prefers to be alone, so I would mostly need to focus on Connie. I have never dealt with autistic children, but I figured it would not be too hard since he is so young. On my first day, I got to know the boys, and things started off pretty simple. Connie played with his toy cars for a few hours while Cal stayed in his room. Around noon, I called them for lunch. I am not great at cooking, so I just heated up some canned macaroni and cheese. Cal was fine with it, but Connie burst into tears, saying he hated macaroni and cheese. I tried to get him to eat, but he kept crying. Since I did not know much about autism, I asked Cal for help. He was a bit rude, but took Connie's bowl, got him some fig bars, and that seemed to calm him down. When I asked Connie what he would like to eat in the future, he just made angry noises and ignored me. Later, Connie started crying again because he could not assemble his fire truck. He asked for help, and since I did not know what to do, I called Cal again. Cal complained and did not want to help, so I snapped and told him to help his brother or he would not get a snack later. He did it grudgingly, and things were fine for a while. Some time passed, and I found Connie crying in the laundry room again. He told me his cat scratched him and made him bleed. I called Cal again to put a band-aid on him because I was not sure how Connie would react if I did it. Cal looked really upset while doing it, but nothing else happened that day. When their mother came home, I left. Later, I got a long, angry message saying I parentified Cal and that it should have been my responsibility to take care of Connie. She said she did not want me to babysit anymore. I was livid because I feel like Cal is very spoiled and cannot even handle helping out around the house. My mother is mad at me, but my father is on my side and is really angry with their mother. Am I the asshole? Look, as the adult in this situation with 2 kids, they are not and should not be responsible for doing the job of the babysitter. You failed today and parentified a 10-year-old child, making him deal with a tantrum that should have been your responsibility. You couldn't even put on a band-aid or help build a toy, and then had the gall to threaten a child for not wanting to help. You did some things wrong here, OP, and it's clear that you should not be in charge of anyone's children if you don't have the common sense or maturity to handle these basic tasks. Am I the jerk for telling my sibling that their child is rightfully upset with them for being a bad parent? Height. So my 45-year-old female brother Joel, who is 40 years old, is the single dad to Daisy, who is 15 years old. There's little to no contact with his ex-wife, so he's been raising Daisy completely on his own since she was around 3 years old. He's done an amazing job, and Daisy is an absolutely fantastic person. Joel has a demanding project at work until July, requiring him to be there for around 12 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week. He's expressed that days are running together, and he doesn't even realize when weeks have passed. Almost 2 weeks ago was Daisy's birthday. Joel forgot. He had reminders and post-its about everything he wanted to do and needed to remember, but everything got buried under everything else, and the day approached faster than he anticipated. My understanding is that he remembered on the way home and ended up getting a store-bought cake and giving her cash. He told her he'd take her to the mall that Saturday so they could spend the day together and he'd spoil her. However, he got called into work, so he canceled that plan too. That Sunday, we were supposed to have a little family party for her birthday. Joel had already started making arrangements to make up for it. When the day came, she refused to come, so it got canceled. The next weekend, which was this last weekend, we were all getting together again just because we like to get together as a family a lot. Joel showed up late and without Daisy. He seemed distraught, so I sort of just said hi and let him be. He ended up talking in the kitchen with our parents. He was all choked up, talking about how Daisy isn't acting like herself. He mentioned how sweet she was on her birthday, even though he forgot, and how she's been so understanding, but now all she's doing is locking herself in her room all day. Maybe it wasn't my place. We're a very tight-knit family, and all of my siblings joke about our kids having multiple moms and dads because of how close we all are, so I didn't even really think about it. I just told him Daisy isn't acting like herself because she's mad at him for being a bad dad, and she has every right to be. He disappointed her big time, and he shouldn't expect her to forgive him. He didn't say anything, but my parents scolded me. He was quiet the rest of the night and left early, maybe 30 minutes later. He didn't say it directly, but I know I hurt his feelings. My parents, my other brother and sister, and even my husband told me it wasn't my place. With that being said, I don't necessarily think I am wrong either. It seems Dad's been doing an awesome job for over 10 years and just happened to drop the ball this season. The 15-year-old understandably is mad at her dad for missing an important occasion, but calling him a bad dad and saying his daughter will never forgive him is uncalled for and unnecessarily escalates the issue. He messed up and he will need to make it right with Daisy, but she will 100% forgive him. What you said was cruel and factually incorrect. So yeah, you are in the wrong here, OP. Am I the jerk for not allowing my ex's father to see them in the hospital? I am not in the United States. I am a 28-year-old male and have a 5-year-old son with my ex-girlfriend Emma, who is a 24-year-old female. We split after 2 years together and regrettably weren't on speaking terms until recently. Emma was diagnosed with cancer a few months ago, and we started speaking again for the sake of our son. We also got closer, and I would consider us to be friends now. I take her for her chemotherapy appointments. She has given me some very strict instructions on what I am supposed to do for her in case she is unable to make decisions for herself. One of these decisions is to not let her father into her hospital room unless she explicitly states I can, or it is an emergency. They have a very strained relationship due to him ignoring her for years after her parents split. He also refused to meet our son for 2 years because he was born out of wedlock. Unfortunately, she was admitted to the hospital 2 days ago after an episode with her heart. I informed her family about it because she asked me to in advance. I told her mother, and somehow the news got back to her father. A few relatives came to visit. When they left, a nurse informed us that her father was here. At that point, Emma was sleeping. I told the nurse the situation, and she told Emma's father that visiting hours were over. Unfortunately, he found the real visiting hours online and demanded to be let in. I went out to try and mediate, but the situation ended with him being removed by security. Emma has been very weak since then, so I have not worried her by telling her about what is happening since she needs all her energy to feel better. However, a lot of her paternal family are berating me. Emma's brother said I was the asshole since Emma would not have even known their father was there because she was asleep. He said that since Emma and her father's relationship is bad, he is afraid of her passing away. Thankfully, she is nowhere near that sick, without them making amends. He believes I should have let him at least see his daughter since they haven't seen each other in years. I'm starting to feel bad about this situation, but I know that Emma explicitly told me not to let him in. Since the incident, he has been barred from the hospital. My friends are saying that letting him come and see her for a few minutes while she was asleep would have done no harm. Am I the asshole? You are not the jerk, but she needs to put her wishes in writing and communicate them directly with her family. It's not fair to expect you to be the intermediary, especially when you have no legal authority. She should create a living will or grant you power of attorney if she wants you to act on her behalf. Otherwise, without a legal document, her father or other blood relatives will be the ones the hospital turns to in a critical situation. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.